then once you get to a certain age, I say it's around 65, 70. A lot of people never take a full breath ever again in their life. And this is a real simple test you can do right now. While you're checking email later today or tomorrow, watch how your breath gets shallow. Most when you're on social media or doing email, you start breathing less and less.
Welcome to another episode of the Matter Over Mind Experience. I'm your host, Master Trainer and Weight Management Expert, Narado Zico Powell. And who do I have today? Another blockbuster interview, Mark Carbone. Now, who's Mark, they say? Well, see, Mark is the CEO of PN Medical. They're makers of the breather. I've never heard about it. It's a breathing system that maximizes human performance using, guess what? Your breath. I think Mark sometimes says it's kind of like a workout for your lungs. And my personal story, if you're new to my channel, you've heard about or if you haven't heard of my story, where I used to struggle with asthma for a very long time. And it's been over 5 years now that I'm off my medication. And one of the ways that I was able to take control of my asthma is by practicing changing the way that I breathe. That's extremely important. Mark and I were talking before the episode. A lot of his clients have anxiety issues or did have anxiety issues and high blood pressure. And changing the way they breathe and training their lungs has been vital in helping them. I mean, you've heard about VO2 max, I'm sure. Well, breathing is a part of that as well. So this is a fantastic episode. Stick through because there's so much we have to discuss. I mean, some of the main topics we're going to get into is how breathing improves performance. We're going to talk about anxiety, stress, and a whole lot more. And with that being said, Mark, my man, welcome to the show.
Well, nice to be here, Zico. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure is mine, my friend. Pleasure is mine. I'm being a little I guess you say I'm showing a lot of favoritism right now because talking about breath is really one of my favorite things. And your products are absolutely amazing. So I just want to first start out by asking this. When did you first become passionate about health as it pertains to human wellness?
Well, it was about 15 years ago now that I started paying attention to it. And I was just like everybody else. I breathed just fine. I thought I did. I was an amateur athlete growing up. I'm 55 now. And it was not until really seriously that I got into it 9 years ago. And I learned that, more than 90% of people have dysfunctional breathing patterns. Adults, as they get older, start breathing more dysfunctionally and they don't even know it. You don't even know you're shallow breathing, and it leads to so many issues. And fast forward to now, what we've learned with what we're doing, we've helped over 2 million people now, and it's pretty rewarding that we can have an effect through the protocols that we've come up with over the years. Through all the clinical studies, we affect blood pressure, anxiety, low energy, sleeplessness, brain fog. Real big with COVID. COVID's been really interesting for us. We've done a number of studies, just finished a 2,000 patient study with people with COVID, especially long COVID, and so much learned through all this. And just now, we also just finished a study. We're talking days ago for weight loss. We did a study and how you can master your breath and strengthen those 77 muscles of respiration and the 125 that are related to posture. That many muscles in your trunk, it's over 200 muscles together, are affected by what we do affects those, and that affects everything. How you distribute oxygen, how you distribute CO2 is paramount at the base of so many diseases. And then for our athletes and our Olympians and pro athletes that we work with, for them it's performance, right? So we help them hit that extra 0.1 or 0.2% improvement. That's the difference between first place and third place.
Oftentimes I've asked people, if you work out an hour or two a day, right? And you don't, of course, you don't work out the rest of the time. What do you think has a bigger impact on your health, fitness, and let's say weight loss journey, right? The hour or two you spend in the gym, which is about what, 5% of your day approximately, or the 95% you spend out of the gym, right? And people will think, if I don't put the percentages, they will say the time in the gym. But when I say that 5 or the 95%, they start to realize, oh, that 95%, right? What do you do in that time? You eat, well, you breathe all the time, I hope. But you breathe throughout your regular day, the way that you breathe, you sleep, you recover. Of course, we know breathing is important in recovery as well. And this is why I love this episode. And I'm very partial to this episode because we're talking a lot now about, yes, we're going to talk about your performance, how it helps with your performance, but we're also going to talk about how breathing in your everyday life can really help you. And with that being said, Mark, I have a follow question on something you said, because you said most people don't realize that they're breathing improperly as they get older. Now, explain to me why that is essentially.
Well, we typically start breathing more shallow as we get older, and then we actually start breathing higher in our chest. So we're born belly breathers. We all were born breathing just fine. And as we get older, we just start breathing shallower and higher and higher. And then once you get to a certain age, I say it's around 65, 70. A lot of people never take a full breath ever again in their life. And this is a real simple test you can do right now. While you're checking email later today or tomorrow, watch how your breath gets shallow. Most when you're on social media or doing email, you start breathing less and less. You take less and less full breaths, and it has a severe impact on your future. And what's interesting also with sleeping issues, sleeping issues are on the rise, but how you breathe during the day actually helps cause the sleeping disorder at night. So it's not like, oh, I'm just a bad sleeper and I'm sleeping with my mouth open, which of course is not good to do. You should wear mouth tape if you are a mouth breather, which most of us are. But it's those 20,000 breaths you took during the day that lead to the poor breathing at night. Yes, there could be issues with your laryngeal area and how you swallow and your palate, a lot of things. But again, at the core, though, a lot of it is about sleep, is about breathing during the day, and you're going to keep doing it throughout the night. So real big issue about that. And here's the good news: you can reverse that. And here's the simple free way. What we do targets everything about the respiratory system. We have protocols about breathing, protocols about using our devices that strengthen the respiratory system, the diaphragm, and all the muscles around the diaphragm. But just learning how to breathe deep and slow during the day, just that one thing, just make that little correction and just slow your breath down, get it more quiet, and put your hand on your belly when you breathe. Just starting there, that is huge, and just paying attention to it is also big, because we have so many different breathing styles and patterns that we've investigated. And this is what's at the core of it all, is that yes, there are some really good patterns that cause more focus, more calmness, less stress. Or if you have to upregulate because you're about to compete in a big event, or you're about to do public speaking, you can upregulate or downregulate. But at that core, it is real simple, that just by being aware of your breath right now, and as you're listening or watching right now, just pay attention. Put your hand on your stomach. Are you belly breathing, or are you moving your shoulders or your chest? Is your chest moving a lot, or your shoulders? Just focus on that belly, just making a slight movement out and in makes a big impact.
So what you're talking about is breathing with your diaphragm, right? Taking an air with your diaphragm, right? So
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question on that. So we've heard a lot about nose breathing and mouth breathing. So does that impact how you should breathe as well?
Well, I believe more and more people are learning this, that nose breathing is more important. There's so much going on, that you really should be nose breathing as often as possible. When we do our training, you're using your mouth, but that's because you have to train those muscles of respiration. You can't create enough force through your nose to train and strengthen those muscles. So during training, you use your mouth, but the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of the day, when you're not using our tools, you should be nose breathing.
Love it. It's now this is the perfect setup because we just talked about okay, the time you spend out at the gym, the time you spend not training, you should be nose breathing. You should be breathing with your diaphragm, which essentially is called belly breathing. An exercise I usually do with my clients is after the workout, I usually have them like lay on the ground, put their hand on the chest and their hand on their stomach, and have them do breathing exercises and make sure that before they leave me, they understand, okay, your stomach should be rising when you breathe. It should never be your chest, right? And to take in air with your diaphragm, breathe with your nose, and I say take that with you as you're walking out of the gym because that's essentially important and made a big difference in my life. But let's switch over a little bit and talk about in the gym because how do you recommend? How does breathing impact our performance?
Oh man, it affects it everywhere. Because again, if you want to, what's happening, at least to society, is more of us are in a sympathetic state, and that's where you don't want to be. You want to be in a parasympathetic state of your nervous system. Parasympathetic state is more in a restoration phase and a calm phase. Sympathetic state is when you're about to either fight or flee, and you don't want to be stuck there. So when you're working out, it's there are a number of techniques in the gym. I'd be happy to share them. You can put them in your notes, in the show notes. I'll send you those. But but again, you need to recover between sets, recover between maneuvers, and again, the simple way to do it is just pay attention to your breath and just do a 4-4 pattern or a 4-5 that's in for 4 and out for 4, in for 5 or in out for 5, between sets. So try to recover in a calm way. And again, there are 5 or 6 other routines you use, depending what you're trying to do. But again, I'm gonna keep it simple today and just let everybody know that just pay attention, and when you're done with each set, or again with a full maneuver, is just get into that calm state and full belly breaths, just in and out, for a minute or two, however long you are taking that break.
So what I'm hearing is you may breathe a little differently while you're working your set, right? But you need to pay attention to how you breathe in between your sets because you might recover faster. Your heart rate might recover faster, which can help you to get onto that next workout instead of being in a constant fight or flight for like I don't know how long you want to work out, an hour and a half, or maybe 2 hours. And that's important. I really like the way you put that together because I've oftentimes see a lot of people go to the gym and I see these classes where it's like move fast, rebirth calories, move. And the clients are constantly in a fight or flight state. And I've seen a lot of people take these classes. Some do lose weight. I'm not knocking anybody, but I've also seen a lot of people who don't lose any weight or don't get any, or even get any nothing close to results that they're looking for. And I've sat down with a lot of people and taught them, hey, your breathing is an important part of that. Like without outside of the gym, you need to be in a rest and digest state, right? One of the key things is like when you're eating, I always make sure I read scriptures before I eat. I practice a little bit breathing, then I sit and then I have my meal, right? Because no one eats in a fight or flight state or shouldn't eat in a fight or flight state. On guard and you start eating. That's not how it works. You're supposed to be in rest and digest, right? So that's important and it helps you with your digestion. And as you said, as you sleep, mouth tape at night, very important thing. I have mouth tapes as well. As a natural asthmatic, I sometimes fall into the habit where I want to mouth breathe again. So when I realize that's happening, I wear my mouth tape for a little while until I get back into practice of belly breathing and nose breathing at night. Also how we sleep. A lot of times we sleep on our stomach, which makes it hard for us to belly breathe, right? So that's something we got to pay attention to. So those are out of the gym. And again, in the gym, when you're pushing against the weight, yeah, you may want to breathe a little bit faster. If you're pushing against the weight, you're trying to get it to move, or you train like your boy here, your boy goes hard in the paint, but when in between sets, I'm very careful about how I breathe so I can recover because I only rest for about a minute in between sets and I watch my heart rate. So I practice my breathing so I'm in a rest and I can quickly drop my heart rate so I can get to that next set. So I want to put those two things together so my audience can really see what are the so many important things of breathing. Now, I have a few more questions I'm going to get at because we're going to talk about the breather, which is a fantastic product. And I'm also going to talk about breathing for stress and anxiety because We know in today's society, there's so many stressful things going on. You mentioned social media, how we breathe while we're on social media. Some people are day traders. I can speak to that because I worked in the industry, and you're constantly stressed when you're day trading and watching stocks go up and down, and it's affecting your breathing. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to those two. But
Mhm.
before I go to that, Mark, I'm gonna give you a break because I want to talk about one of my favorite products. I want to talk about Colorado Botanicals, CBD. As an athlete, and when I say an athlete, I mean anybody that works out, anybody who's trying to get fit. The importance of taking care of your body, like breathing, for example. You eat healthy, exercise regularly, take time to recover. But something that you may want to add to your toolbox is CBD to help you enhance recovery and performance. See, CBD has been shown to help with inflammation. And by the way, breathing can help with lowering inflammation as well. Pain relief, even anxiety and depression. See, I use the CBD from Colorado Botanicals to help me recover, right? And I absolutely love them. I actually get a box from them, I would say every month or every 2 months, and I have ones with different strengths based on what I need. Because when your boy train, I said your boy goes hard in the paint. So sometimes I'm old, I'm old as dirt. I need a little help to recover, right? And I'm telling you, I put this CBD on my body, and like that, I feel so much better. I absolutely love it. Anything that I recommend, your boy uses. And I'm telling you, I love Colorado Botanicals. In fact, I've had friends and clients who have said, man, I injured myself. This hurts. And I'm not saying just take CBD because you may need to see a doctor depending on the situation. But I've had people had minor injuries who I said, hey, just take this home with you for a couple of days. And they're like, oh my, I feel so much better. Because a lot of times, if you're not seriously hurt, you just have a lot of inflammation in that area. CBD can help to lower that inflammation, help you to recover and knock it out that next time, right? So check it out. I'll make sure that the website, because it's a pretty long website, so I'll make sure that it's in the description of the podcast. And guess what? Code Zika Health will get you 10% discount off all their products. So another fantastic stuff to have in your toolbox. Now, with that being said, now we're gonna pivot because we're gonna come back over. We're gonna talk about breathing again because all the things I talk about with CBD, breathing helps you with those things as well, right? So, but before we get to stress and anxiety, Mark, I want to ask you about the breather device. What exactly is it, and how can it be beneficial?
Sure. Just real quick, it's a simple device. I'm holding one of the products. We have products just for athletes, just for people with health challenges, COPD, asthma, chronic heart failure, and then and of course for athletes. So the one I'm using is Breather Voice. That is for performers, people who are on stage like myself, who present and speak a lot, and singers and instrumentalists. So real simple. You just put it in your mouth, and what it's doing, there are dials on both sides. It has pressure settings each side. Your lungs aren't equal, and when you inhale and exhale, it's different pressure. So you have to have a device that has different pressure settings on each side. So you set your setting. Depends how strong you are and how strong your capacity is. So for me, right now it's set on 1 in 1. That's where you start at. And what it's doing is it is targeting the muscles of respiration, and especially the diaphragm, which is such an important muscle. It's almost like the second heart. People talk about it, what it does, its function. And you just breathe through it. And I'll take a couple breaths in it. And what you're doing 2 or 3 sets in the morning, 2 or 3 sets at night. It's that simple. It's 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, 5 to 10 at night, 6 days a week. When you're training and you're trying to get stronger, when you're sustaining, of course, you dial it back and you only have to do it, 3, 4 times a week when you're in that sustained mode. And think of it again, it's a gym for your lungs and your heart. So if you don't use it, you lose it. Just like it's a these are smooth muscles you're working on inside the body, but still, when you're in the ER in the hospital, a couple days in, your diaphragm has already compromised. It even compromises within the first day. So it's really important to work those out, and that's at the simplest core of what our base models do. The devices, they target the muscles of respiration.
So let everybody know that in the show notes, your website is there. So they'll be able to see all the breathing products that you offer with full description. So thank you for that demonstration, because that's if you're important. Something I like about it too, it doesn't take a lot of time. You do a little bit, a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes in the evenings. They just make it a regular part of your practice when you first wake up, right before you go to bed, right? And you're training your body. And like you said, if you don't lose it, you lose. It's like we make jokes in the gym because we like my friends who are gym rats were like, we work out for like years and years, and you go on vacation for a week, and then you come back and you feel weak, weak and weak, right? Because you don't use it. I mean, you start working out again, and boom, you're back to your norm, and so on and so forth, right? As long as you're not out for extended period of time. But that's the same thing. Like you're just a constant piece, a constant practice, very easy thing to do. So check out their website, PN Medical, I believe. And but the description will be the website will be in the description of the in the podcast. I'm probably be in the let me say it again. The website will be in the show notes, which will be in the description of the episode. I'm telling you, when I have these long days, I lose my mind. Or maybe it's Alzheimer's, who knows? But but yeah, so perfect. Now the last question I want to ask though, I want to talk about stress and anxiety because I want to talk about how does breathing improve stress and anxiety, and if you can even talk about the products that you offer and how they can help with that as well.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we believe in pushing the ball forward for everyone around the world because we are around the world, and we are constantly doing clinical studies all the time. There are at least two or three going at any given time at our company, and we finished one recently with Mayo Clinic with frontline doctors, the MDs. They're right on that front line in surgery and whatever they're doing. The stress is they are under enormous stress, and especially at Mayo Clinic. I mean, it's one of the I consider it the top hospital in the world. So we did this study with them to help with resilience, to help them be more resilient, especially the ones with COVID patients at that front line. And what we did is they used the breather. They used the breather fit, the athletic one. These doctors were actually all, high alpha, high performance people, top level. So they all got breather fit, and they would do the routine morning and night, but they also did breathing protocols. So we had down regulating breathing protocols. When you leave work on your way to home, on way home, you calm down. So there are calming protocols, a sleep breathing protocol, and then an upright regulating protocol when you're about to go into surgery, because you got to get back into the front of your brain, and you've got to like target and focus for upregulating. So it was really just a series of breathing protocols, and then the use of our breathing devices. That simple, total of maybe 15 minutes a day to, and their resilience went up, but this was a biggie. Their anxiety and stress levels went down by 18%. And that's a lot. That's considered a really good result. So that's one study that we just finished recently about how powerful breathing really is.
You know, I've never I don't know if you're familiar with this product called Lumen, right? But it's a product you blow into, and it tells you whether you're primarily burning fat or primarily burning carbs. Now, there's a long story behind it because the idea is to they change your diet for the day or your recommendation for the day so your metabolism can become more flexible. But the reason why I bring that up is they have a group of around 30, 50, 52,000 users on Facebook, and I'm one of the group experts for them. And I've had people say to me, I keep breathing, and no matter how much fat I eat, my body still wants to burn carbs. I don't know what's going on. And I would say, like, so I'll say to him, have you changed up your breathing protocol? And it's like, and I'll explain to him that if you slow down how you breathe with your belly and breathe with your nose, you'll be surprised how you can shift your regulatory system into a rest and digest, and how that can help you to lose weight, right? Because when you're constantly breathing fast, your body doesn't know if you're running from a tiger or you're just stressed out. All your body knows is your cortisol is going to be raised. It needs more glucose, so on and so forth, right? So when they switch their breathing, they're like, oh my, this has made such a difference. I'm burning fat now. Yeah. Now there are other things I
Funny you
may,
say that. We
thyroid.
just because we just finished, I would mention earlier, we just finished that weight loss study, and the results are phenomenal. What we're learning, and it was just with obese. They're under their body, their organs are under so much pressure. They do not take full breaths. So just by getting them to breathe better, what happened is their quality of life went up, their daily function went up. So, but the breather may have been the only physical exercise they did because of their weight, how significant it was, but it improved. Everything went up. Cholesterol, everything improved across the spectrum. We did blood work. There was blood work done, a lot of tests and assessments for all these patients. We'll report it out probably in 4 months. It'll be out to the public. It'll be in a journal. But again, I'm touching on it. What you do with the people you help, you're right on. So good work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And because we definitely see the eye, and I told everyone before the episode began, this is going to be one of my favorite episodes. And I'm tying in the weight loss piece because I know the question that you answered was on anxiety. So I wanted to just tie that in as well, because people also report to me, they're like, I feel better. I feel more relaxed. I feel calmer. And I've never like actually measured their stress levels or anxiety levels, but they're telling me that they feel better after they're changing how they breathe. And when you have an expert along with a device and guidance that can get you there, that's absolutely huge. And that's why when I heard about Mark, I was like, I have to have this guy on the show because he really knows what he's talking about, and he has fantastic products and guidance from our audience. So I'm sure he's going to be on the show again as we maybe when that the next study come out, you're saying in a few months, or we have more information. You can come back and share because this is a very important information from our audience, Mark. And thank you so much for being here. And with that being said, buddy, I just want you to kind of, if you don't mind, wrapping it up for me with any final thoughts or how my audience can learn more about your work, so on and so forth.
Well, you hit on it. You just search for the breather or pnmedical.com and you'll find out a lot. And really, it's simple. It's just focus on your breath. That's part one. That and know how important it is. It's more important than you think. Usually, you wait too long before you get too old. But if you can actually affect low energy, sleeplessness, and anxiety, brain fog, sleep apnea, all those things can be affected if you learn the proper patterns, how to breathe, and you focus and strengthen your diaphragm and all the muscles of respiration. So, real pleasure to be here, Zico. Thank you so much. I really appreciated it.
You're the man. Thank you so much again. I would love to have you on the show again because you shared some really good information. Everyone, of course, the show notes is going to be zekehealth.com/breather, right? That nice and simple. Everybody knows I'm not that creative. The show notes are going to be in the description of the podcast as well. So you can click on it and learn more about his fantastic products. I just want to say one thing before I get out of here, though, Mark, because you had me thinking tomorrow in more stressful part of my day, I'm gonna watch how my breathing changes. And I'm gonna write it down and see if it just automatically switches and I don't even pay attention to it. And that's one of the things I want to get to my audience out there too. Like watch how you're breathing. You're breathing. Even if you when you're not stressed, you may be focusing on your breathing. When something kind of stressful comes up, just watch to see how your breathing automatically changes. And that give you an idea of how you need to address those situations in those times as well. So, Mark, thank you for being here. Thank everybody for listening. Thank everybody for watching. And we're out for the day, fam.
Bye bye.